tested.
It was a cold winter day, but the sun was shining brightly as Bob Holden sat in his high school French class. The class period was nearly over, and Mr. Larson, the teacher, was making an important announcement.
We'll have a test over the vocabulary lists and idioms in lessons 10 through 15. It is very important that we master the vocabulary, as it is the foundation of a language. Tomorrow we will have an oral review, and Friday the test. Now that's all for today. Class dismissed.
Another test. How will I ever get through this course? If only French were easier for me. It's my worst course.
Bob didn't have time to think much more about French for the rest of the day, but as he left school, he heard one of his classmates calling.
Hey, Bob, why don't you come skating with us? A bunch of us are going down the pond. It's a beautiful day for skating.
Sure'd like to, Pete,
Oh,
but...
don't worry about not having any skates. You can borrow a pair of mine. I have 2 pairs.
Thanks. I really wish I could come, but I have to get home.
Oh, I know. You're just going to study for that old French test and make it tough for the rest of us. Imagine giving up skating to study French.
The day I get a good enough score on a French test to make it tough on anyone else, I'd be more than happy to go skating. But really, Pete, I promised my mom I'd come home right after school and run some errands for her. She's been ironing all day for several people, and I have to make the deliveries.
Oh, boy, I'm sure glad I don't have to run errands and do things like you. You never get to have any fun.
Thanks, Pete, but I wasn't asking for you to feel sorry for me. Besides, with Dad sick, Mom needs all the help I can give her.
I suppose. Well, I gotta be going. If you change your mind, come on down to the pond. So long. See you sometime.
That evening, after supper, Bob, French book in hand, sat at the kitchen table to study for the test. With younger members of the family using the kitchen for a playroom, he found it difficult to concentrate.
Ce matin, this morning, ce soir, this evening, ce monsieur, this gentleman, cet après-midi, this afternoon, cette femme, this woman, ce livre. Oh, it's just no use. I'll never learn this stuff. I just can't think with all this noise around here. I guess I just don't have what it takes to learn a foreign language. Now, if this was math, that'd be more like it. If only I could get a job. With Dad sick, we could sure use the money. But I guess I should graduate first. And in order to graduate, I have to pass French. Better get busy. Ce livre ci, this book. Cet homme ci, this man. Cet hotel ci, this hotel. Cette année ci, this year.
Even though Bob had studied as best he could for Friday's test, he had the uneasy feeling that maybe he hadn't passed. At the end of the class period on Monday,
I have your papers here for you. It was quite a job checking 100 words for each of you, and I may have made some errors. I wish you'd do me a favor. Before coming back to class tomorrow, I'd like each of you to check over your paper and see if I've made any mistakes. If I did, please report it to me. Well, that's all for today. You're dismissed.
Hey, Bob, did you make it?
Yeah, got a C by the skin of my teeth. Or maybe I should say by a cell of my brain.
Oh, Mr. Larson didn't make any mistakes on your paper?
Haven't had a chance to check yet. You find any?
7 of them.
7? When are you going to tell him?
Tell him. You crazy? I'm not going to. That's enough to drop my grade into the D's.
But that's like cheating.
So what? He's the one that made the mistakes in grading them, not me. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Besides, I don't want to get a D. Lots of other kids found mistakes on their papers, too. He sure goofed on this bunch of papers.
He was probably tired. That was a lot of work, getting all those graded over the weekend.
Oh, that's what teachers are paid for. Besides, he probably did it on purpose so we wouldn't all get bad grades. That would make him look like a bad teacher. None of the others are going to say anything about the mistakes either. He'll just think we're finally catching on.
Maybe so, but I kind of doubt it. See you around. I gotta be moving, Pete.
Later that evening, when Bob checked over his paper, he found 10 errors. Words that had been marked correct, but were actually wrong. After he went to bed, he lay awake a long time thinking about his paper.
10 mistakes. That's enough to change my grade to a D for sure.
Oh, none of the others are going to say anything about the mistakes.
But that doesn't make it right.
Mr. Larson will never know.
He asked you to report any errors.
But if I report it, I may fail. If I cheat. I can't cheat.
Oh, now it wouldn't be cheating very much. Besides, you really need to pass this course so that you can graduate and get a job to help your folks.
Cheating is wrong.
You can't afford to have to take the course over.
But can I afford to be dishonest? Besides, what would Mom and Dad think?
Oh, they don't have to know.
Bob fought the battle in his mind for a long time that night. Finally, he made his decision. He knew what he must do. The next morning, he waited outside Mr. Larson's door until he came.
Good morning, Bob. You waiting for me?
Yes, sir.
Come on in, then. What did you want to see me about?
It's about the test, Mr. Larson.
Oh?
You see, well, there seems to be several errors. I hate to see my grade go down, because I'll need that C to make it through the course, but I just couldn't cheat.
Oh, I see. You have your paper with you?
Yes, sir, right here. I circled the mistakes.
Uh-huh. Hey, you're right, Bob. I did make several errors in your paper. Must have been half asleep. I worked on them until quite late the other night. That's too bad. I'm afraid it'll drop your grade to a D.
I know, sir.
It's a funny thing, though, that I should make so many errors on your paper and not on anyone else's. You're the only one that's come to see me.
I guess that's breaks.
Tell me, Bob, you found it pretty hard to come to see me, didn't you?
Well, yes.
Why did this grade bother you so? It's not the final.
I know, but French is very hard for me. I just don't seem to get it, no matter how hard I try. And it's very important that I pass French so I can graduate this spring.
Is French the only course you have trouble with?
For the most part. Of course, I have to study for all my classes, but I just can't seem to concentrate on my French.
Where do you do most of your studying? At home?
Yes, sir. Mr. Larson, do you suppose maybe, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, you could give me a few pointers on how to study? Maybe give me a few hints.
Well, yes, I'd be glad to. But I think you already know the most important thing. Study a lesson each day.
I try to do that, but...
But you don't have a quiet place to study, is that it? I had the same trouble when I was your age. I'll tell you what. I'm usually here until 5 in the afternoon. Why don't you come by and study in my office? It's quiet here. If I have a few minutes once in a while, maybe I could drill you on vocabulary or give you some little memory hints.
Really, Mr. Larson? Do you mean it?
Of course.
Could I start this afternoon?
If you wish.
Thanks a million, Mr. Larson. That'll help a lot.
Bob studied faithfully each afternoon in Mr. Larson's office. Gradually, his French vocabulary improved, and the lessons became a little easier for him to understand. After working on his lessons for an hour or so, he would hurry home to help his mother by running errands or watching the smaller children or helping in other ways.
Hi, Mom, Dad. I'm home.
Oh, so I see. How'd it go today, son? French getting any better?
Oh, a little bit, I think. But I don't think I'll ever be an interpreter.
I doubt if you will. Well, it's a good idea to be acquainted with a foreign language. For one thing, it's good mental discipline. And besides that, it broadens the mind.
And how?
It also gives you an insight into another people, another culture. You never know but what a foreign language might prove useful someday. Oh, by the way, a letter came for you today.
A letter? For me?
It's over there on the table. Well, kind of important, too.
Who'd ever be writing me a letter? Art W. Wilkins Company. Watches and... Why, that's the big jewelry store downtown. What's this all about? please come to my office at the main downtown store Thursday afternoon, October 22nd at 4:30. There is something I want to discuss with you. Sincerely, R.W. Wilkin. I don't get it. I don't even know this man. What could he possibly want to discuss with me?
I don't know, son. Are you sure the letter's for you?
It says Mr. Robert A. Holden, 1028 South Landis.
Must be for you. Son, are you in some kind of trouble? If you are, tell me about it.
I didn't know I was in any trouble. It's a puzzle to me.
I guess we'll just have to wait till tomorrow to find out what it's about. Perhaps you'd better go help your mother now.
Bob was rather nervous all the next day, and he had a hard time concentrating as he studied his French lesson after school. Finally, at just a little before 4:30, he arrived downtown at the big jewelry store, where he was shown into Mr. Wilkins' private office.
Ah, prompt, I see. That's good. I don't like to be kept waiting. Were you a little puzzled by my letter?
That's an understatement, sir. I still don't understand what it's all about.
You'll find out. Tell me, what do you do after school in the afternoons?
Well, I usually stay at school and study in Mr. Larson's office an hour or so. It's quiet there, and I can concentrate better. When I've finished that, I go home and help my mother.
That's what I understand. A friend of mine told me about you. Said you were a dependable lad and honest. Those are important qualities. Do you suppose your mother could get along without your help?
I suppose she could if I had something more important to do. It's just that, well, since Dad's been sick, Mom takes in ironing so we can have money for food. She's always so tired that I go home and I help her instead of hanging around with the other fellows and doing nothing.
Admirable, admirable. I wish more boys were like you. It sounds to me like a little extra money at your house would be welcome. Have you given any thought to getting a job?
Well, yes, sir, but my parents are very determined that I finish high school. And I know an education is pretty important. That's why I haven't quit and gotten a job. Besides, there aren't very many places anymore that'll hire someone that hasn't even finished high school.
You seem to have some good common sense in that head of yours. Now, I'll tell you why I asked you to come. I need some part-time help, a couple of hours a day. Interested?
You mean you're offering me a job?
Work, my boy. I'm offering you work. Now, let's say you came in at 4:30 and worked until 6:30. That way, you'd still have time to study that French lesson, wouldn't you?
When do I start, Mr. Wilkins?
Slow down a minute here. You don't even know what the work is.
I don't care. Just as long as it's something I'm able to do. If it's scrubbing floors, I'll scrub them till they shine. If it's washing windows, you'll have the cleanest windows in town. I'll do anything, the best I can.
All right, Bob. You report for work tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. Every afternoon when you come in, I want you to empty the wastebaskets, dust, and clean the fingerprints off those glass showcases. During any time that's left, you'll help check the incoming merchandise. See you tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, sir. I'll be here, Mr. Wilkins, and thank you.
Bob felt as though he were walking on air as he hurried home to tell his parents the good news. The next afternoon, he reported for work promptly at 4:30, received his instructions, and worked diligently until time to quit. And although nothing had been said about wages, when payday came, Bob was delighted to find that Mr. Wilkins had been very generous, paying him almost as much as a full-time clerk got in many other stores. One afternoon, after he had been working several weeks, he was emptying the wastebaskets when he noticed something.
Hey, what's this? Looks like a perfectly good jewelry box. It is. And there's a jade brooch inside. Wonder how it got in the wastebasket. Imagine I'd better give it to Mr. Wilkins.
Oh, why do that? You found it, didn't you? Finders keepers.
Mr. Wilkins is depending on you to be honest.
It sure is a pretty brooch.
Why don't you give it to your mother? She'd love to have something like that. She works so hard and doesn't get many nice things. She deserves it.
Your mother wouldn't want something that was stolen.
Oh, you weren't stealing it. You found it, so you can keep it. Besides, it was in the trash. Somebody probably had a reason for throwing it away.
Don't steal.
Keep it.
Don't steal.
Keep it.
Don't steal.
Keep it.
With determination, Bob went to Mr. Wilkins' office. He didn't know what he was going to say, but he did know what he had to do.
You want to see me, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Bob? What is it? I'm sorry, but I don't have much time.
Well, sir, I was dumping the trash, and I found this brooch. Looks new, and the box was new. I don't know how it got there, but I thought I should bring it to you.
Yeah? Oh. No, yes. Thank you, Bob. I guess some people just never learn to be careful. Is that all?
Yes, sir. I'll get back to work now. That's funny. He acted kind of strange when I gave it to him. You'd have thought he'd be happy to get a piece of jewelry like that back. Oh, well. At least I have a clear conscience.
A couple of weeks after he had found the brooch in the wastebasket, Bob was dusting the display shelves, humming a little tune to himself.
Sure a lot of stuff on these shelves to move when I dust.
Why move everything? That just makes more work and takes more time. Nobody'd ever know if you just dusted around things instead of under.
That'd be easier, but it wouldn't be doing a good job. And I intend to do everything the best I can. Hey, what's this back here in the corner? Why, it's a watch case, and there's a watch inside. An expensive one, too. This is one of those diamond models. Wonder how it got out of the watch showcase and over here with the silver-plated hollowware. Better take it to Mr. Wilkins.
Oh, don't do that. Why don't you keep it and sell it?
Be honest in all things, Bob.
Think of all the money you could get by selling it.
It's not yours to sell, Bob.
Nobody'd miss it. No one else probably even knows it's over here. Go ahead. You found it. Keep it, then sell it. You need the money.
Thou shalt not steal.
Hope Mr. Wilkins is in his office. Mr. Wilkins?
Yes, Bob. Do you want to see me?
It'll just take a minute. I just thought I should give this to you.
Huh. A diamond watch. Where'd you get it?
I found it when I was dusting the display shelves. It was back in the corner, behind some large pieces of hollowware.
Well, thanks for bringing it to me. I wish people would be more careful where they leave things. A watch like this should always be kept locked up in a showcase.
Yes, sir. I'd better get back to work. Huh. That's strange. Twice I've taken expensive items I've found to Mr. Wilkins, and he just sort of shrugs it off, as if to say, so what?
He's probably used to employees taking things for themselves. Why don't you wise up, Bob?
Well, this employee's not going to take something that doesn't belong to him.
Several days later,
Sit down, Bob. I called you in to have a little talk with you. Bob, you're doing a splendid job. In fact, that's why I want to talk to you. How's your schoolwork coming? I don't want your work to interfere with that.
I'm still getting A's and B's in everything but French.
Oh, good. But French?
I'm managing to keep a C. I still study every afternoon right after school. I'm afraid I'll never be a linguist.
Well, I'll tell you what I had in mind. You know our store here is open 2 nights a week. I need someone dependable to help out those 2 nights. It would mean you'd have to work until 9 o'clock. Of course, Mr. Jacobson, he'll be here, but we need 2 people. Do you think you can handle it?
I'd like to try. I think I could do it.
Good. Just let me know if it interferes too much with your studying, and we'll try to work something else out. Keep up the good work, Bob.
a few nights later, while things were quiet in the store, Mr. Wilkins walked in.
Oh, good evening, Jake. How's things going?
Oh, slow, Mr. Wilkins. Hardly been a person in all evening.
I can't say as I blame him with all that rain. Where's Bob?
Oh, he's in the back there someplace, looking at a book and tinkering around.
Studying on company time, huh?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I told him he might as well, since nothing else was going on, but he said he couldn't do that. You were paying him to work, not study. Yeah, quite a worker you got there.
Well, I think I'll go and see what he's up to. Hello, Bob. What are you doing?
I hope you don't mind, Mr. Wilkins. I found these old clocks in a box back here, and I always wanted to take a clock apart, so I did. And I found this manual on Swiss clocks.
Look, that one's running.
Oh, that one. That's the first one I worked on. I took it all apart and cleaned every piece. Sure was dirty. Then, by studying this manual, I was able to put it back together again. I put a few drops of this oil in it, and just like that, it's running again. I'll soon have this one done, too. I hope it's all right, Mr. Wilkins. I mean, maybe I should have asked first. If you don't want me to...
Bob, you go right ahead and take apart all the old clocks you want to. And no better teacher than experience.
Bob enjoyed working for Mr. Wilkins, and somehow, by diligent effort, he managed to find time to study and keep his grades up at school. The days and weeks flew quickly by. Winter turned to spring. And at long last, the day Bob had looked forward to for 12 years had come. Graduation day, and he had made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in presenting to you the graduating class of Central High. Together they have reached this milestone in their education. As a faculty, we are proud and maybe a little relieved that they have attained this achievement. As parents, you have shed tears, worried, and rejoiced with them. Today, you are also proud of their achievement. And friends that are here with us today, we know that you too are happy and proud to share the memories of this day with us. Graduating class, we congratulate you on this very important occasion. After the recessional, the graduating class will receive congratulations on the lawn outside the auditorium.
Oh, congratulations, son. We're so proud of you. You had to work so hard this year.
Yes, son. I wish you and Mother hadn't had to work so hard this year while I was sick. But I'm proud of you. Proud that you're my son.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. I'm just happy that you were well enough to come today, Dad.
Congratulations, Bob. I was happy to have you in class. And see, you made it through French in good style.
Thanks to your help, Mr. Larson.
Congratulations, Bob.
Mr. Wilkins, I didn't expect to see you here.
Oh, I wouldn't have missed it for anything. I say, Bob, since you don't have to go to school tomorrow, do you suppose you could come by at the office at 9 in the morning?
Sure, anytime you say.
Oh, all right. I'll see you there, then. Morning, Bob. Come in. Have a seat. This may take a while.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins.
Well, now that you've graduated, what do you plan to do?
Well, I don't know exactly, but I guess I really don't have much choice. There's not much chance of getting any meaningful employment with just a high school diploma. A fellow needs more education, but there's no chance of college for me right now. With Dad still not completely well, I'll have to take whatever job I can find.
I see. But did you have any particular job in mind?
I was sort of hoping, well, sir, I've been meaning to talk to you. I'd like to stay on here if you could use me full time. I realize I don't have much to offer, no training or anything.
On the contrary, you have a lot to offer. Willingness to work at whatever job you're given. Honesty, dependability. These are qualities I like in an employee. You see, I have a little plan I've been working on. You remember those clocks you were fixing that night when I came in?
Yeah?
Well, I left those there on purpose. I wanted to see if you'd have enough interest, initiative, and curiosity to work on them. Because I've been thinking about sending you to jeweler school. Mr. Jacobson is getting pretty old and is ready for retirement any time. I'll need a new assistant. And I've decided that, well, you're the kind of person I need. I'd like to send you to school to learn the trade in its entirety. How to appraise jewelry and watches, and how to repair them. The whole works. Of course, this will be at my own expense. And when you're finished, you'll come back and work with me here as my assistant. Maybe even someday a partner. Well, how does that sound to you? Agreeable?
Mr. Wilkins, I'm speechless. I just don't know what to say, except thank you. This is better than anything I've ever dreamed of.
Yeah, well, you've said everything you need to say. Now, don't thank me. I thank your parents who brought you up with high standards of honesty and integrity. I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Bob. Yeah, I can't be too careful of the type of person I have working here. In a store such as this, there's always the danger of losing large sums of money through shoplifting, but all the glass showcases have essentially taken care of that problem. However, a much greater problem is pilferage by the employees. About the only way one can stop that is by being extremely careful of the person he hires. And that's why I tested you.
Tested me?
Yes. Remember the watch you found stuck back in a corner?
Yeah, but...
I put it there. I wanted to see what you'd do. And I must say you did exactly what I hoped you'd do. You also remember that jade brooch in the wastebasket?
Don't tell me you put that there, too.
I certainly did. That was another test of your honesty and integrity. But the biggest test of all was one I doubt you ever suspected.
What was that?
A French test last winter. You found that the teacher had made several errors in correcting it. Enough to lower your grade when you reported them, huh?
I remember it well. But what does that have to do with you?
Well, Mr. Larson and I went to college together and have been friends ever since. I asked him to deliberately rig that test, for I wanted to find a truly honest boy.
You mean if I hadn't reported those errors, I wouldn't have this job now?
Exactly right. But more important, you did report them. Bob, I'm proud to have you working with me. I've been testing you all along, and you've passed every test with honors.